Hi everyone, Derek with Tarvent here, and in today's video I'll be going over the trigger and actions that are available for the Less Annoying CRM integration within Tarvent. If you have not connected your Less Annoying CRM account to Tarvent yet, be sure to check out the link in the description below. That will go to a video that goes over the steps to get your account connected to Tarvent. But in this video I'll just be focusing on the trigger and actions that are available within Journeys. And if you're new to Tarvent and you haven't used the Tarvent Journeys, be sure to check out our Journey 101 video. That will give you the basic understanding of journeys within Tarvent to help this video make more sense. But to get started, let's go over the trigger. So the trigger that's available for the Less Annoying CRM integration is the pipeline item status event trigger. So this listens to the pipeline item status changes. So if a contact moves from non-qualified lead to qualified lead, for example, then you can set up this trigger to listen to that event to then send them an email to update their profile or to do whatever else you need to do for that contact. But in here, I'll just go over the settings that are available. So this first area is integration. This is just showing you what account integration this trigger is for. Then next you have name, and this name is the name of the trigger within Tarvent. This has nothing to do with anything in Less Annoying CRM. This name is simply for you to be able to identify what this trigger is for within your Tarvent journey. Next are the settings for the trigger to actually set up what we're listening to. So the first setting is the pipeline. This is the pipeline you're going to listen to. The next is the event type. So this is the event type for the item, whether it's being added or it's being updated. So if you have it set to created, then this trigger will only listen to pipeline items that are created, not updated, and vice versa for updated. Next, you have item status. So this setting by default will be set to any status, meaning that this trigger will listen to any status change. So if they move from status A to status B or status B to status C, then it will listen to both of those changes. If you only want to listen to a specific status change, so let's say you only want to listen to contacts that get added to the qualified lead status, then you can set that status in here, and then this trigger will only fire when that pipeline item moves to that status. So that's that setting. And then lastly is the filtering. So this filtering allows you to control what contacts that this trigger applies to outside of this event. So let's say you only want this trigger to happen to contacts that have the first name Derek, for example. So then you'd go in here, select only contacts that meet criteria and add the rule first name equals Derek. And if you do that, then that means that the only contacts that will go in through this trigger are the contacts that meet the criteria in the settings that we just set up, and then also have the first name Derek. So this is just an easy way for you to filter out those contacts without having to do a bunch of additional work. And again, this setting is available on all triggers and all actions. And this is something that's unique to Tarvent. It's something that we saw as a room of improvement from other tools, because other tools you have to add splits, add a bunch of if-thens within your journey to do simple filtering criteria. Where in here, you can just add it directly to the step to handle all that filtering for you. So moving on to the action, or the first action. So we have add CRM pipeline item. So this action is pretty self-explanatory. It will add a new pipeline item for you. So in here, we have the same first two settings, that integration and name. And then scrolling down are the settings for the action. So in here, you'll select the pipeline you want to add that item to. Then you'll select the status that you want that item to be added with. So if you want it to be added to the qualified lead status, then you'd select qualified lead right here. And then optionally, you can add a note. So if you want to keep track as to why this item was added to your pipeline, then you can add a note here. And one thing that's cool is that we do allow personalization, or we do allow putting in merge tags into this note. So if you want to add the contact's email address or their first name into the note, you can easily do that by inserting a merge tag into that note text. And then just like the trigger, you can also specify that filtering. So moving on, the next item is update CRM pipeline item. Very similar to add, now we're just updating. And one thing to note is that this action will not add an item if it doesn't exist. It will only update an existing pipeline item. So I'm scrolling down to the settings that are available. First, we have the pipeline that you want to look for the item in. Next, we have the item status that you want to update the item to. So in this case, we're going to update the status to qualified lead. And then optionally, you can add a note. And then the same thing goes for the merge tag here. And then what makes the update different than the add is that we have an additional setting. So we have the scope setting. And this setting is only used if you have multiple pipeline items for the same contact in the same pipeline, which isn't a very common occurrence, but we did talk to the Less Annoying CRM team and they did say that this does happen every once in a while. So in the event that you have multiple pipeline items for the same contact in the same pipeline, then you can set the scope to tell our system which item to update. So by default, it'll update all items. But if you want it to update the first created item for that contact, or in other words, the oldest item, then you can select that. Or you can also tell the system to update the most recently modified item for that contact. But again, this is only used if you have multiple pipeline items for the same contact within the same pipeline. Most of the time, you won't need to change this. You can leave it as all items. And then again, we have the filtering criteria under that. So then moving on to the next one, we have Add CRM Task. So this one adds a new task for a contact within Less Annoying CRM. We have the same two settings up here above. And then here we move on to the settings for the task. So you give the task a name, which if you click this icon, you can also add personalization to that name. Then you can optionally specify a task description. You can optionally put in a task due date. One thing to note is the due date does need to be in the future. If you try to set it to now or a time in the past, it will fail because it has to be a time in the future. And then you can optionally specify the calendar you want the task to be added to. By default, if you don't specify a calendar, we'll just add it to the default calendar within Less Annoying CRM. But if you want to add it to a specific calendar, then you can use this setting to set that up. And then lastly, you can control who this task is assigned to within your Less Annoying CRM account. By default, all tasks will be assigned to the user that set up the integration within Tarvent. But if you want to change that, then you can put the user ID of the user you want the task to be assigned to in this setting. And I'll just go into Less Annoying CRM really quick to show you guys where to get that ID, just to make things easier. So in your Less Annoying CRM account, you'll go into it and you'll click Settings. Once you're in Settings, you'll go down to the last option that says Programmer API. You'll click on that, which will bring you a screen that looks like this. And then sometimes you'll see this sentence here that if you need a list of IDs for your account, then click here. So we'll click here, and then you'll see this section for user IDs. In this section, you'll see a list of users, then you can grab the user ID you want to assign that task to. Sometimes that sentence won't show up. We've seen it show up sometimes, and other times it already shows this user ID section. But just make sure to find this section to grab that ID and then put it into your task settings within Tarvent. And that's how you change who the task is assigned to. And then once you're done with that, you can optionally do the filtering, just like on the other actions. And that's the CRM task action. Moving on, we have the Add CRM Note action. This action adds a note to a contact within Less Annoying CRM. And you have the same two settings up here. And then here's the setting for the actual action. So you can specify the note text. And again, you have that insert merge tag functionality. And then additional settings, you have note date. This note date is simply to be able to backdate a note. So if you're adding a note past when the note needed to be added, then you can put in a date to backdate that. And again, the requirements for this is just that it has to be in the past. It can't be now or the future. So it has to be sometime in the past so you can put that date in. And then if you go down, then you also see that filtering that's available for all the triggers and actions within Tarvent. So this was the trigger and actions that are available for the Less Annoying CRM integration within Tarvent. If we missed an action or we missed a trigger that you'd like to see, please let us know. We love to build our tool and make changes based on customer feedback. That lets us know that the work that we're doing is something that you guys want and need versus something that we think you guys want and need. So we greatly appreciate the feedback. If you run into any issues, please let us know. You can comment down below or reach out to support. We'll answer as quickly as we can. And yeah, this was an overview of what's available for the Less Annoying CRM integration within Tarvent Journeys. I'll see you guys in the next video.